The rainforests of Asia harbor many stories of strange encounters. 1,000 miles north of Malaysia, deep in the jungles of Laos, exists what many believe is a relative of America's legendary Bigfoot.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Late Night Strange. And tonight we will be going over some of the comments and feedbacks about rock apes. But before I get started, I just want to apologize for my raspy voice, as I had laryngitis for about a week and a half now. And it's kind of nice just coming back on the mic and just talking to you guys again. I just want to kick off this episode by reading a comment in one of my videos. And this comment comes from Tracy Stanley 3554. I had a friend, Kerry Arnold, that had an up close and personal encounter while turkey hunting in Mississippi. It shook him up so badly he never hunted again, and it was 9 years before he stepped foot back in the woods. Sadly, Kerry was killed in an automobile accident in 2022, but you can see where his encounter happened and hear him relive the moment that changed his life forever on Bigfoot Odyssey Episode 5. I just want to say thank you very much, Tracy, for sharing that, and my condolences to you and anybody who knew Kerry Arnold. He seemed like a really down-to-earth, great guy, and was also really well respected in the Bigfoot community. He is no longer here with us, but his story will live on forever. For those of you who's never seen his YouTube channel, please go check it out. It is Bigfoot Odyssey, and I believe he's also appeared on Sasquatch Chronicles with his story on episode 444 and 597, where he retold it. But I just want to give you guys a quick summary on Kerry Arnold's encounter without spoiling it too much. His encounter is by far, I believe, one of my top 10s. But his personal encounter is he went turkey hunting out in the forest, ran upon this individual that kind of ruined his hunt. As he went to go confront this individual, turned out that it was not a person, and he hunted his property for a very long time, and he had always had these strange things that happen on this property while he was out hunting or while he was walking to hunting. There's a certain trail that always gave him the creeps, but you guys have to go listen to it, man. It is by far, I mean, you have everything Bigfoot in there, so please do go check that out at Bigfoot Odyssey or Sasquatch Chronicles episodes. But thank you again, Tracy, for mentioning that.
Given this extraordinary encounter that you had, because not many people have been face to face with one.
Not and come forward, no.
Right.
I think plenty of people have gone through it. It's as bad or worse than I've gone through it. They're not coming forward. And I mean, I don't blame them.
Next, I want to discuss on the topic of rock apes. As I said, rock apes came into light shortly after the Vietnam War, but this creature was in our folklores and told around campfires long before the internet even came out. As I comb through my comments, an individual by the name of VNV67, I'm assuming it's Vietnam Vet 67, said I will share this one to you. I was in Vietnam 1967 through 68, and my job there was clearing jungles and building landing zones. We were close to the border of Cambodia and Laos. Several were operations that never happened, let's say. I and 3 friends had an encounter with a creature that really did throw rocks and sticks at us, but we can never see it for about 3 months on. But one day I got off the D9 dozer for a bathroom call. We at the time didn't go too far from where the infantry were. I was about maybe 25 yards up the hill, and I heard a real low guttering sound. I looked all around to see where it was coming from, with no sightings. I pulled my trousers down and squatted. Then all of a sudden, this thing came charging at me from about 15 yards. I damn near crapped in my pants. It picked up a couple of pretty large limbs and threw them at me. I got my trousers up and hauled my ass to the clearing, yelling behind me several times. And then a rock about 7 to 9 inches in diameter almost hit my leg, collapsing me to the ground. All I saw was an animal of sort about 6 to 7 feet tall and dark reddish hair going back up to the hillside. The other soldiers fired into the woods with widespread fire. We reported this to the headquarters and was told that we were pretty much full shit. So nothing ever came out of this as far as I know. So I don't know that they exist in this part of the world. I am from the mountains of the Appalachian Trails in West Virginia. Before and after my time in the Army, I've never seen anything like this again. I was a heavy hunter for 7 years after my discharge. I'm now living in West Central Florida, away from big cities, in an area close to the Gothy Forest. I've seen bears, hogs, deers, etc., but nothing like I saw that day in Vietnam, and don't want to either. For those of you that are new here that don't know what rock apes are, rock apes were described as hairy Sasquatch-like humanoids, and they were said to be about 3 to 7 feet tall, styled very muscular, and some with even protruding stomachs. And during the Vietnam War, even from both sides, with the Americans and the Viet Congs, they reported, running upon creatures like this while fighting in the jungles. And alongside with this, a lot of people were actually getting attacked by tigers as well. But this rock ape individuals has been known by Viet people for the longest time, also known as Patututs, or the forest people. And in the Hmong culture, we know them to be as Marlu. They got their name rock apes because they will hurdle rocks as soldiers. But in all culture, there's no reports of rock throwings at all. It was more of, you gotta watch out for these creatures because they will grab you and they will eat you. So for us, they were a lot more sinister than that, cultural Bigfoot that hides in the woods and that's very shy. These Marlu creatures or rock apes were out to get you. They were part of their food diet. So they've always talked about, if you were to go hunt in the woods or if you were to go to the garden at all, make sure you put your bamboo sleeves on just in case if you run upon these creatures. And the elders always talked about these Marlu creatures living in caves deep in the jungles. But there's also stories of them pushing out to the edge of the forest where they kind of just watch these villagers.
So this freaking thing, it's staring at me. It followed me home from the gifting rock. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning right now. I think I don't know what to do. But it followed me home and it is absolutely staring at me right now. Alright.
And they will actually go and stand in front of somebody's house. So back in the days, these Hmong people, they will live village to village. They will actually migrate from mountain ranges to mountain ranges. When they get done farming a section of the mountain, they will actually move. So in order to do that, they build these thatch houses or these coot huts and just live in them until the season's over and then they move on again. So these Marlu creatures were actually reported to stand in front of the door just waiting for an individual to come out of these coot huts or these thatch houses. And once when they come out, these Marlu will grab them, instead of going in and attacking, they'll wait outside patiently until you come outside. And they'll grab you and look up to the sky, and then there's no thunderstorm at all, and then they'll eat you then and there. But most of the reports, it's like, these thatch houses, these Marlu could have easily just pushed their way in. But it happened so much to the point where they came out with these bamboo sleeves. And they will wear these sleeves every single time when they come out. So if they do come out and get grabbed by a Marlu on the wrist, they can slip away and go back inside the house or run to their neighbors. It is also told that these creatures have a fascination of fire. And that is the reason why a lot of these stories come from people that spend nights and nights out in the jungles making fire. They'll see these glowing red eyes or glowing eyes at the edge of the woods, just kind of just standing there watching the fire. And some of these reports even come from villagers that went up to the mountains to burn their fields, to make way for crops. And they'll see these dark silhouettes just kind of walking back and forth or just standing there watching them burn the fields. And seeing all these videos that surface up on the internet of these entities that are just standing in the darkness with these glowing red eyes watching you, I'm seeing a lot of similarities here with the American Bigfoot. Whether they have a fascination for fire or a fear of fire due to them being hairy, it is very fascinating hearing the similar traits of the rock apes or what we know as Marlu compared to the Sasquatch or the Bigfoot in the United States. Next comment is from SharkFin8091. My parents told us stories of these creatures when I was young. I grew up in the US and thought they were just stories. This video just described the exact same thing they told us, especially about the creatures grabbing you by the arm, looking up to the skies before they eat you alive. Honest to God, that line right there gave me the chills. Thank you, SharkFin8091, for that comment. I know that there was a comment, I can't seem to find it now, but they mentioned that in China there are similar stories to the grabbing and the eating and the bamboo sleeves. So my assumption is that it's not just Laos, Vietnam, or Cambodia. It is all Southeast Asia where these stories and folklores live within cultures. Very fascinating. Next one is from Renee Sanchez 8236. I spent a full year in the jungle and never encountered any such thing. Now, if anyone should have seen them, it was the grunt soldier. We never slept in the same mountain. Our job was to look for the North Viet Army and engage, kill, destroy. Now, there is one possibility that the noise we heard at night might have been Bigfoot. The enemy was always around outside the perimeters. We were inside the jungle, so the night was always dark, and it would have been impossible for us to see them. During the day, we hopped the mountains going from one place to another. One time, the brass told us that the place was a virgin island, meaning man has never been there. One thing for sure is the Vietnam people stayed away from the Dak Tu Mountains. It was their belief that evil spirits lived there, and it was this Bigfoot. It was a time when young men were far away from home, experiencing killings and the sights of unnatural death, plus enduring exhaustion, passing the breaking point from climbing mountains with 100 pounds on their back without food or water. An encounter with Bigfoot would have been the annihilation of 180 men. I just thought I'd give you my opinion on the subject. Thank you, Renee Sanchez. That was an awesome read. The reason why villagers didn't want to go up to that mountain is because they believe that there is an evil spirit called the Quet Nham Cham that haunts that region. And there's not just one of that evil spirit. There's actually multiple. There's a lot of them. Since a lot of soldiers died up there, didn't get a proper burial, they believe that these evil spirits possessed these bodies and brought them back to life. Kind of like your modern day zombie. In our culture, we call them Klantoa, and they're known to block passageways. So when you're making your way up to the mountains or the gardens, they usually just lay there on the side of the road and kind of block your passageway, not making you want to go to where you want to. And there's different phrases, there's different things that you have to say before you actually walk past the Klantoa or the Quet Nham Cham. Next comment is from Sherry Jackson 1419. I had 3 uncles that went to Vietnam. 2 came back alive. 1 came back in a box. I was 11 and remember those big tough GIs at the funeral home. They demanded to see their brother. My grandfather's brother owned the funeral home and was the county medical examiner, and he broke every law in the book and opened it. I did not get what it was all about at first, but sure got it later. He had bite marks all over, not eaten, and the bite marks was from extremely large primate. I saw those men together and knew what would be found. Thank you for sharing that, Sherry Jackson. Another comment from a different YouTube channel on this topic, Mark Hegg 7221. I found this video intriguing since I served in the 1st Marine Division in the exact area, just north of Da Nang, in the years of 1969 and 1970s with the 26 Marines. We spent much of our time trekking through the virtual unexplored jungles, underbrush, razor-sharp grass, and moisture-soaked terrain that sucked the life out of us. Several times after returning to our small camp after a long night ambush or listening post, we would arrive to find our gear ransacked, stuff strewed about, and oddly enough, our sea ration bitten into, and some partially eaten. Some cans of jelly and crackers were bitten into and actually had the tops ripped off with the inside missing, especially fruit, peaches mostly. Some meat cans looked like maybe a really big dog had bitten down on both ends, causing canine teeth punctures. It would take a reasonable amount of grip to hold a good-sized fruit can, and a bite beyond comprehension and a lot of brute strength to tear off the lid of one of these tough old cans. They were heavy and hard enough to open with the tool meant for that purpose, but the culprits were elusive, and even though we were in the jungles a lot, I never saw rock apes with my own eyes. I know monkeys have a knack for opening fruit husk, but only a big freaking bamboo will make holes in a can big enough to slide an M&M through. No trouble at all. That's one impressive tooth hole, let me tell ya. So what I'm saying is, there are really rock apes in Nam. I talked to a Marine who found a baby one outside the perimeters on a hill his company was protecting and thought there was a lost chimpanzee. He picked it up when out of nowhere, an ape the same size as him jumped on his back and bit him on his right shoulders, knocked him down to the ground, and grabbed the little one in all about 5 seconds. All he saw was something brownish as big as he was and fast as hell heading into the underbrush, upright on its feet. He said it had a flat ape-like face, but did not have those long dangly ape-like arms. The bite left 4 bruises from the canines, but were not severe enough to puncture the clothes on his shirt or his skin. He thought maybe this thing meant no harm, but wanted to send a message. He got it, but never saw another sign of anything again. Stories like this are everywhere. I have a fellow Marine, new in the country, light up a cigarette in the pitch black of a night to find an ape eye to eye with him. Both let out a yell at the same time. So much for smoking under your ponchos. Those are my stories, and they are fresh in my head as everything else that happened there 50 years ago. I do not believe in Bigfoot or Mothman or any other goblins, but there are ape-like creatures in the jungles of Vietnam, living in the tunnels, I believe, that will never be identified or photographed, and I hope they are never again disturbed. But that is all I have for you guys for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this type of video where I read out some comments and throw some of my feedbacks in there. I wish I could add everybody's comments in these kind of videos. If I do that, I'll be sitting here for hours and hours. But other than that, thank you guys all for watching, and I hope to see you guys all again on the next episode of Late Night Strange. And like always, stay strange, everybody. Bye-bye.